Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the Debrief live on the Blood Red YouTube channel after Liverpool emphatically beat Leeds United 6-1. A brace for Mohamed Salah and Diogo Jota with goals from Cody, Gakpo and Darwin Nunez as well. A really, really resounding performance from Liverpool and a much needed one away from home to a side they, of course, lost to Anfield this season. So very, very welcome 3 points. You join me, Patrick Smith. I'm also joined by Liverpool.com editor Matt Addison. We are live on the Blood Red YouTube channel, so make sure you drop us any thoughts and comments you have in the comments section. We'll try and get to as many of them as we can. But Matt, let's open with that one then. As we were just saying off air, it's much more like it from Liverpool, and it's been a while since we've done a debrief together. It's been a positive one.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable watch, wasn't it? I think there was lots of things to take as positives. I know Leeds were terrible, but Liverpool have played against some really poor teams this season and just not been able to turn up, and to score 6 goals in a Premier League game, particularly away from home, I think is really impressive. I think there was lots of individuals, like I say, who performed really well. I'm sure we'll come on to some of those in just a second. But yeah, it was an impressive performance, I think, from Liverpool. And I think it was just one of those where a few things that really needed to go for them have gone for them. I think you look at Diogo Jota scoring, that's hugely important. Luis Diaz is back. Thiago had another little cameo. Curtis Jones looked really good. You know, even someone like a Fabinho didn't have loads to do, but did okay. Obviously gives away the stupid foul where he gets booked. But other than that, generally has a decent game. Trent was excellent in that new role, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well. I think that's really, really promising. And, you know, there's 8 games left. There is still, I did say it this morning, I still think there is a chance that Liverpool can make that top 4. I think the teams around them are going to drop points. They are going to have to go on a run, but I think that was another big step forward. We saw last week against Arsenal, they played really well for half a game. Today, they've done it, apart from the 5 minutes after half-time when they give away a stupid goal. Apart from that, they've really, really controlled it, particularly in that first half. I know it was boring. I know they didn't score loads of goals at that point. But just to give yourself that platform, to be able to just knock the ball about, not particularly do much with it, but just kill the game, kill the atmosphere, and just sort of dictate things and control things. So often this season, particularly away from home, Liverpool just haven't done that. And you think of, you know, some of the defeats that they've had away from home against really poor teams, it was just completely different to all of that. So, yeah, if they can perform like that for the next 8 games, they will certainly give themselves a chance.
Oh, yeah, I mean, spot on. It's uncharacteristic of the Liverpool side this season, isn't it? Because so many times we've seen them away from home, a bit of a raucous atmosphere, and they have gone under the cosh and often conceded early. Whereas, you know, it's like the Liverpool of last season actually today against Leeds, really composed. As you said, I think getting through that first sort of half an hour was really, really important. Mohamed Salah was given the Man of the Match award, but speaking of the first half an hour, I think I'm going to start with Diogo Jota, because it's quite possibly one of the worst opening half an hours I've seen someone have in a Liverpool shirt. But he did turn it around and got himself, I believe, 2 goals and an assist. You know, a great turnaround from Jota himself. And it's his first goal since April last year. I mean, it was a huge evening for him and, you know, quite characteristic during the 90 minutes. He's really turned it around, hopefully, for Liverpool and towards the end of the season. Do you think Jota's done that, or are you still a bit concerned about the way he's played of late?
No, I think you could tell as soon as he got that first goal, he just looked a lot better, than he was a yard faster. He was not giving the ball away so much. It's, you know, really down to the confidence. I think he's one of those players that really, really is, you know, when he's in the groove and he's sort of on a run, he does get those goals in bursts. I think we saw that particularly at Wolves. We've not seen it quite so much for Liverpool, but certainly to a large extent. I know he's had injuries and all of that sort of stuff, but we saw it particularly at Wolves. He tended to score in sort of 10-game bursts and then not score for a bit. And you wanted him to be a little bit more consistent at certain points. But I think for him to just get that drought over with, we don't have to talk about it now. He's not just got 1, he's got 2. That is what he does, isn't it? It's a quintessential Diogo Jota performance, is that he doesn't really do a great deal between the boxes, but as soon as you put him in front of goal and he's in a confident mood, he can just find those finishes. A couple of really, really good moves from Liverpool as well. So, yeah, that was a big bonus, I think, for them to get him on the score sheet. That was one of the big things that they needed, I think, in terms of this run-in. They needed to get him into a decent position ahead of, you know, maybe not the top 4, or maybe not sort of, you know, getting themselves where they want to be before the end of this season. But if not that, then certainly the start of next season. You wanted to see him get into a bit of a run. 1 or 2 other players as well have started to show their true selves. So I think when you start to put these things together, it does start to look good very, very quickly again. And we know that Diogo Jota is one of those that does score lots of opening goals. He's one of those that when he's on form and in a bit of momentum, can sort of have the ability to change games. Liverpool just haven't been able to get themselves in front often enough so far this season. But yeah, Diogo Jota in good form can certainly help. So yeah, fingers crossed this is the start of a bit of a run for him. It wouldn't surprise you because, like I say, you could literally see it in the way that he was running, the way that his energy levels increased. As soon as the first one went in, you kind of fancied him to get the second one. So yeah, fingers crossed it is the start of a run. And I think that was, I mean, there's a good number of positives for Liverpool tonight, but that was quite possibly the biggest one.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that myself. I think we'll see this reborn Jota. Well, I hope we'll see him anyway towards the end of the season. Because as you said, there were so many times last year where, myself, I was quite critical of Jota. I think he could often be the worst player on the pitch, but he'd often pop up with a brace or even a hat-trick at times. Really, really typical performance from him, shall we say. But also, Mohamed Salah then, Matt, he got a brace himself. Glorious as ever, could have had a hat-trick. Van Dijk was marginally offside for that very nicely worked set-piece routine. But Salah, again, was just unbelievable, Matt, wasn't he? He's overtaken Rashford now in the Premier League top scorers chart based on assists as well. Given it's arguably Salah's worst season, according to rival fans. It's not a typically bad one from him, is it?
No, he's having another good year, isn't he? I think he's on 26 goals now, is it, in all competitions, I think, for him this season. So it's obviously a decent position for him to be in. It just shows the level and the standards that he is at. That I know there's others who are ahead of him this season, but to be that consistent in terms of his numbers across however many seasons it's been now is really impressive. And to be honest, I think it all comes back to the change in system that Liverpool have got. They've kind of gone to that almost like a 3-2-5 type formation. Josh Williams did a brilliant piece for us on Liverpool.com earlier in the week that people should check out if they haven't done already, that kind of explained it brilliantly. And I think we saw it again tonight. You've seen basically Mohamed Salah get given a load more space. I think the numbers that he put up against Arsenal, the sort of shots that he was having, the positions he was getting into were brilliant, but he's done it again tonight. Trent as well in that position. I think it just works really nicely. And that's what you need ultimately, is those are at their best probably Liverpool's two most influential players. If you've got somebody who's as creative as Trent Alexander-Arnold and then someone who scores as many goals as Mohamed Salah, if you've got those two on song, you're giving yourself half a chance, aren't you? So I think that was the big thing really, is that it just kind of allows him to be isolated with his man. I think at times we've seen it this season where maybe if Elliott's been on that side or Trent's been out wide, Salah's been out wide as well, there's been a big gap between whoever's played as a number 9 and then the player on the right-hand side. There's not been that link-up, but if he's there, he's isolated and he's one-on-one. You can't crowd him out. You can't get bodies around him. It then becomes a lot more difficult. And as good as he is at scoring, and that's his main sort of attribute, he's a brilliant dribbler. He's a player that can get past 2 or 3 and find the back of the net if you give him that space. So I think that the system that Liverpool have come across now is just perfectly suited to a number of these players, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was something that they worked on for next season. I think Salah was great, Trent was great. I think Curtis Jones was excellent. You can kind of see now where that they want obviously Mason Mount from Chelsea. I think you can see exactly where he would fit into that system. Ryan Gravenberch as well is one that they're obviously taking a look at. I think you can start to see now that the sort of system and the formation and all those little bits of the puzzle suddenly start to look a little bit better. And again, and like we said before, the teams that they've struggled against this season, they've hardly got any points away from home against the bottom teams. They haven't scored a goal against those teams. They've been really, really struggling to create. But if you can find a system that gets the best out of your best players, I mean, that's a big step in the right direction, isn't it? And I think certainly what Liverpool have done so far is show that, if you can get Trent in the right positions, you can get Salah in the right positions, the rest of the players then get a lift as a result of that. So, yeah, that was the big thing really for me, is that you've got your best players doing the best things again. And if Liverpool can do that, then that's pretty much the winning formula.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, it's a genius switch, I think, putting Trent in this. I mean, I'm not sure the position's got a name yet, but I'll go for inverted fullback because he's getting on the ball so much more time on the ball as well. I think, to be fair, I know Ibrahima Konate did make that mistake for the Leeds goal, but I think he's been brilliant sort of defending in that right centre-half role. And Jordan Henderson as well, coming and covering across. I think those two have helped Trent get back on the ball. And we've seen that so many times before, and that's going to be so important for the running, Matt, as you say, isn't it? Because Liverpool just keep giving us this bit of hope, this slight chance that they will claim back into the top 4. But I mean, just on that again, I know you touched on it at the top of the show. Do you think they realistically can get themselves into the top 4? Because it seems the teams around them are crumbling. It may well be a case of who plays themselves out of the top 4 rather than in it, mightn't it?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think I look at all of the teams that they're coming up against and you can see them dropping points. I mean, I think Newcastle have got Tottenham next weekend. They've still got Arsenal, Chelsea, Everton away. I know people might look at that and think that, Everton in the relegation zone and what have you, they might have climbed out of it now. I'm not too sure. But I think, that will be a tricky game for them away from home. I think it's a midweek game as well, which will make it interesting. I think there's more than enough points to be dropped there. And I know there's loads of teams that Liverpool have got to get above. I think Brighton are in a great position, but can Brighton get into the top four? I'm still not quite convinced of that yet. And maybe that is a bit of sort of top six arrogance looking at that situation. But I think they are there to be got at. And Tottenham as well. I mean, they've just lost 3-2 at home to Bournemouth. They've still got to come to Anfield. They've still got difficult fixtures to come. Yeah. Obviously, them and Newcastle can't win next weekend. Obviously, for Liverpool, it's just a case of can they string together some results. I don't think any team has managed to put together anything like a 9-goal winning streak this season in the Premier League. Even City and Arsenal haven't managed that. But you look at the fixtures that Liverpool have got left. I think that was what I wanted to see tonight, was that when you look at the fixture list that's left for Liverpool, there's lots of teams there that you think they should be able to beat. But so far this season, they haven't been able to do that. But I think what they've proven tonight is that even against a team that is not particularly, great, is not going to attack them and sort of throw bodies forward necessarily, even though Leeds did that as they tried to chase the game. I think they've shown that even against the weaker sides in this division, they can go away from home and win and score goals and crucially look like they're in control as well. So that gives me a lot of confidence that they can go on a little bit of a winning run now. And look, I wouldn't put it past them. It wouldn't be a huge shock if they didn't get into the top four. I still think it's less likely to happen than nailed on, certainly. But I think there is an opportunity. And that basically is what I was looking for tonight. Not just that Liverpool score goals and look good, but they looked sort of back to their usual kind of style and confidence. And just that's what I want to see. Even if they don't make the top four for the rest of this season, try and play like that. Try and be dominant, assertive, try and just get on the ball and score goals and be creative and just see what happens. Because I really, even Manchester United, I don't think that they are a particularly brilliant team. We know
without Martinez and Varane as well for the run-in.
Yeah, loads of games to come. Marcus Rashford's injured at the moment. Yeah. There's going to be opportunities. They're going to have to win, I think, Liverpool, probably at least 7, probably 8 out of the last 8. But it is possible. If they do play like this, I think they've got half a chance.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. If they play like they did tonight, there's no reason why they can't, because, just looking at the table there, there's 6 points behind Spurs with a game in hand, 9 behind Newcastle with the same play, and they've both got a pretty tricky run-in. I mean, Liverpool's running does look nice, but how many times we said that this season? We've got this glimmer of hope back, and who knows, they could go and lose at home to Nottingham Forest on Saturday. I mean, it really wouldn't surprise us, would it, given what this season's been like already? But Matt, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me. A lovely evening then for Liverpool, a much-needed win. And hopefully we've said this so many times, I myself have said this on about 50 podcasts this season, this can be the catalyst that kicks them on to winning maybe 7 or 8 of those matches if they want the top 4, because I think that's what they need to do. But as well, thank you to all of you for watching and listening along. Make sure you stick around on the Blood Red YouTube channel and subscribe, because we'll bring you Jurgen Klopp's press conference as soon as we have it, so you can get the boss's reaction to a huge win for Liverpool 6-1 over Leeds. But for now, thank you so much for joining myself, Patrick Smith, and Matt Addison on the Debrief. We'll catch you again next time.